A 20-year-old woman named Sarah started having some very strange dreams about a woman named Aurora. She had a very striking face with sharp features and long black hair. Sometimes Sarah was in a crowd of people, or she was at her office, or she was just alone in a room. In all of her dreams, Aurora would always show up. After about 3 or 4 months, Aurora stopped showing up in Sarah's dreams. A few years later, on Halloween night 2009, Sarah and a friend pulled off the highway into a gas station. They got some snacks and drinks. A few moments later, Sarah had turned her car on and she was making her way towards the single-lane strip of road that merged out onto the highway. What happens next occurred over a span of just a few seconds. Her phone suddenly rings, and because there was no one behind her, it was not a busy night, Sarah decides to just stop her car, put it in park, and she picks up her phone, she looks at the number, and she doesn't recognize it. As Sarah is saying, "Hello, is anybody there?" Another car from the gas station pulls up right behind Sarah's car, and they start honking their horn immediately. Hangs up the phone, she puts it down, she puts her car back in drive, and this driver behind her is apparently in such a rush that they actually swerved around her, driving on the dirt off to the side of the road just to get around her. Another car that was already on the highway, a silver Honda Civic, lost control and smashed into this car that had just passed Sarah's car. And then a little while later, after the ambulances had left and after the 2 cars had been pulled off of the highway, one of the police officers pulled Sarah aside and told her that the driver of the Honda Civic and the driver of the car that had swerved around her had both been killed in the accident. Shocked, the only thing Sarah could think to do was to call back that number she didn't recognize that had effectively stopped her from getting onto the highway and maybe even stopped her from being hit by that Honda Civic. The person did not pick up. However, it went to her voicemail, and it said, "Hi, you've reached Aurora. Leave your name and number after the beep." She said she had never felt goosebumps like that in her entire life. The next day, Sarah tried calling the number again, and this time the woman, Aurora, answered the phone. And Sarah explained her crazy dreams and now this crazy car crash thing and how it's all connected. And Aurora would tell Sarah, like, "That's amazing. This is a crazy story you're telling me, except I didn't call you last night." But they ultimately just said, "Okay, hey, thanks and best of luck to you." And so on a whim, Sarah just opens up her Facebook account and she plugs in Aurora's full name. It was the exact same face she had seen so many times in her dreams. It was the same Aurora with the striking features and long black hair. The woman in her dreams was the woman who called her and saved her life.